Grant asked, is it best to have superannuation as a sole investment for retirement funding? Now, let's go back a few slides to help explain what I'm about to explain with superannuation. So Grant asks, is it best to only have super? The way to answer that is, well, why do we use super for retirement savings? The reason why we do is because when you're able to move your superannuation assets to the pension phase, and that's anywhere from 55 if you're born before 1st of July 1960, then the earnings on that money are totally tax-free. That's the benefit of superannuation. There are risks with superannuation in that the government can change the rules with it. So there are what we call legislative risks associated with it. So if you were really concerned about that, then you would potentially have some money outside of superannuation, particularly if you're a younger person, not going to access your super for a while. Generally, the legislative risk is low because if the government did fiddle around with superannuation too much, Australian people would lose confidence in superannuation, and that would just have a negative effect because people would stop relying on it and likely end up being more reliant on the age pension. So it would not be good from a government's perspective. I assess the legislative risk to be low. So if you're looking at the structure in which to invest your retirement assets, often the pension phase of superannuation is good. There are other occasions where your assets are so large that you can't get money into the superannuation environment, or you might have other unique circumstances where a trust or a company might be beneficial, but you need to make sure that that's right for you, because company tax rate is 30% versus no percent of age pension. This is going to reduce from the 1st of July 2015 to 28.5% for those small companies, not the large companies, because they're going to be wearing a 1.5% paid parental leave increase in tax. But yeah, so the whole reason to answer Grant's question of superannuation is that it's a great tax environment in which to invest your retirement assets. Now, if you're concerned, so that's the structure part of the question for Grant. The other part of the question for Grant is that you might be concerned about the underlying investments. So within Christian Super, for example, there are 5 different investment options. So you can choose the amount of risk in your portfolio or in your superannuation account. But if you, for example, had sufficient funds and you were concerned about only invested in listed assets or other assets through your super fund, then you can also choose to manage your own through a self-managed super fund and invest in direct property, for example. So you need to also almost separate the structure question from the underlying assets that you're investing in question. Hopefully that answers Grant's question about should superannuation be the sole investment for retirement funding. Yeah, it depends on your particular scenario. Sometimes it's good to invest outside of super, but often if you can get the money into the superannuation environment, investing through that structure is often the best tax effective way to go. That's what superannuation is designed for.